How's it going, everyone? I hope that everybody's been having a great day as well as a great week so far. I wanted to make this quick video, just kind of talking about an email that I received not too long ago, maybe a couple days ago. I got the permission of the sender to display it. I will be hiding their name, but I wanted to kind of read this email because it was very, very long, very extensive, and it was very detailed on some of the history when it comes into Forex as far as the social media aspect of it and the muck and all of the stuff that goes into what is making Forex the way it is today. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit before I start reading the email that if you're new to this channel, or if you're new to Forex, or if you're new to the binary world, or if you're new to the Nadex world, or if you're new to anything when it comes into trading, I implore you to listen to this email because this person went through a lot of groups. They talk extensively about what was going on in those groups and these companies and these individuals, and they do name drop in this, and I want you guys to understand that this industry is not as easy as a lot of people think that it is. As said in the last video that I made, Forex is not this easy. A lot of people need to understand that it takes your own doing, your own analysis, and you have to develop your own strategy. Stop following what everybody else is trying to teach you. So without further ado, let me jump to the email real quick. And this email is interesting. So I'm gonna just get right into it. There's some funny little I guess quirkiness in this, and so I might read it on accident, but I'll probably just skip over it because I want you guys to just really see what's going on in this email here. So it says, Bruce, I am reaching out to share my story with Forex as a way to thank you and to confirm so much of what you're saying. So now they're going to go into talking about the green room. Now, if you don't know about the green room, the green room is really what spawned all of these groups and all these people trying to sell you products and all this sort of stuff, because what I like to say is they showed people how to make money off of people rather than how to make people money. They showed people how to make money off of people. So here we go. So it says green room. I was in the green room in the summer of 2014, right at the beginning when it first started. I would say I was probably one of the first 50 to 100 people to join in the green room. I will be the first person to say that it was a complete fiasco, just as you pointed out with Jarrell. Now allow me to say that I was previously a securities licensed and worked as a financial advisor for American Express Financial. So I had an interest in the markets from those days. So when I heard about the green room, I was intrigued enough to give it a go. It quickly turned into garbage. Jarrell was hardly ever in the sessions, and it was primarily Jamal calling the trades. Think of it, a barely 19, 20-year-old kid calling trades for binary options. It was horrible. Don't get me wrong, we won some, but we lost more than we won, of course. In fact, there were times that Jamal would say that he took the trade, and almost everyone would lose, yet Jamal would say he won. How in the heck? Of course, we would not see his screen to know if in fact he won or lost, so we had no confirmation on that. And if people say they lost the same trade he claimed that he had won, he would say, you must not have entered the trade, you must have entered the trade late. Then the herd mentality would come out, and the people who probably lost would say that they had won too. It was insane. Things turned really sour when apparently it came out that Jason was a drug head and hooked on meth. Dallas was tired of the whole piss show, and Jamal got a big head that no one could tell him anything. Jarrell had all but disappeared, and when people asked about his crazy stories were given. The truth was that Jarrell made his money, became a Facebook legend in the entire $400,000 video, and was realizing the money was about to dry up. He was making his exit to other things, more likely other trading scams. At any rate, I have to admit I bought into it hook, line, and sinker, as the saying goes. I even made a video on YouTube about the green room. Shortly after I made the video, I decided to leave, but of course, by this time, people were contacting me, asking me about the green room, asking me how to get started, asking me to teach them. It was completely sickening because I knew SHIT about teaching anyone anything. So started the long journey to trying to learn how to trade. I went from group to group and landed into the next group, which will be the come-up system. Now, stopping here, now, I apologize if I'm reading this really fast. I just want to make sure this video is not like an hour long, because I'm going to be talking about the little things that I know about each individual one of these groups. One of these I'm not too familiar with. I've heard of it a couple times, but nothing too big. But the green room, again, was ran by four guys that called themselves the Wolves. Funny enough. So you had Jarrell Cox, who we've talked about before, Jamal Johnson, Dallas Orr, and Jason DeMott. Now, pretty much all of these guys, except two of them, Jamal and Jarrell, have just kind of gone off and done their own thing. I don't think they're in trading anymore, probably a good thing. And Jamal and Jarrell are still trying to do the whole trading thing. I know Jarrell is still trying to do the trading thing. He's done a million different other groups. He's been a part of IML, which we've talked about before, and all this sort of stuff. So the video that this person is talking about, the $400,000 video, from what I remember and from what I got from my source, it was almost about $500,000 in cash that he had gotten. Now, that money came from brokers. It came from broker commissions. In the binary options world, you would sign up a person the moment that they would deposit. Most of the time, they would give you money. Then they kind of understood that people were getting money and then they were just leaving. So they started tacking on a volume of trades. So the moment that they did 10 trades, then they would get the money. And this is why a lot of these guys had trading rooms, because they knew that they could get the trades into these accounts so they could get their money. And usually these brokers were paying them $350 to $400 a person. And from what I remember, the green room got thousands of people, 2,500, 3,000 people. You do the math, do 2,500 times 300, and that's the money they were getting just off of the broker commission alone. That is not the $100 a month they were charging on top of that. I mean, you can just pull out a calculator, do 2,500 times, let's just say 300, $750,000, and then you have the 2,500 times $99. That's 247,000 plus the 750. So you're looking at almost $1 million. So, and I know that they made more than that. And you obviously, they were selling different strategies. I remember Jason DeMott was selling a certain strategy for like $500, and then I started hearing about how they how he had like stolen it from somebody else, and then Jamal was trying to sell certain strategies, and Jarrell was trying to sell certain strategies. They were making a ton of money very, very, very quickly. And what ended up happening is, from what I had read and from what some of my sources gave me, was that Jarrell had basically kind of walked away, and that's where this huge amount of money came from, just because that was his share. So going on to the next piece, which is the come-up system. Now, some of this doesn't actually go into detail from what I know about this company, but this is some pretty funny stuff. So it goes, oh boy, where do I start with this one? Green Room rejects who figured out the real secret to the success of the Green Room. Signups. Well, Dale and another two guys started the group as a spinoff of the Green Room, as well as to keep things going. So clearly, not having learned my lesson from the Green Room, I signed up with them. They were one of the first groups to sell the stolen Steve Morrow videos for a whopping $750. I started hearing rumors that videos were stolen, but Dale's answer was that the guy who provided the videos was actually in attendance at Steve's training and was given permission to record the sessions. What a crock. Well, I actually started researching more of the MM videos, being the Steve Morrow videos, and lo and behold, learned the videos were stolen and being resold. Fortunately, I was able to get my money back from buying the information. I disputed with my credit card company by telling them the material was stolen, that I had proof, and that I didn't want to be a part of a company that was purchasing stolen merchandise. The webinars were horrible. Dale and one of the guys were recording from their apartment and cussing out their wives and their kids on one of the sessions. It was so bad and comical, because you were sitting there thinking, this is the guy that's going to help me how to trade. The guy in the white tank top cussing at his kids in his apartment. Close call on that one. I reckon I have, and then they go on with some quirkiness there. And then it says, because I left the come-up system and joined Aaron Brooks Butler in the TTP. Yep, sounds like a trashy toilet paper. So with the come-up system, there was much more to that. They ended up teaming up with a broker called G Options or Go Options, and they teamed up with a guy there called Adam Stone. Now, you may hear the terminology, oh, they're stoning trades. This was where that came from. Was this guy Adam Stone was one of the founders or one of the guys from the Go Options or G Options, and it was an interesting thing, because they ended up teaming up together, and what ended up happening was that they started trying to allow people to understand that, oh, go to G options, they're great, they're great, they're great. But you have to understand that in order for a broker to make money, like in the binary options world, you have to lose money. So a lot of people didn't understand that at the time. They didn't get that. And so they went and followed along this crazy train and ended up getting really badly burned. I remember that a lot of people were talking about the come up system, talking about how one of the guys was teaching them railroad tracks and teaching them all these candle formations. And I'm thinking, why are you paying for this? All this stuff is free online or in books that you can get for free online and PDF files. Why are you buying for this? It doesn't make any sense. And I remember that, yes, they were the first company to use Steve Morrow's stuff, and they are definitely not the last. I've talked extensively about 2 or 3 different companies already that are still doing this to this day. And they started doing, I don't even know if really the come up system turned into Ward 3 Associates, but there was some sort of connection with that, because then the Ward 3 Associates ended up being the next company to sell the Steve Morrow method and his indicators and his videos, and they were selling it for an insane amount of money. And what ends up happening is that Steve Morrow ends up finding out about it, and then he ends up shutting you down because it's intellectual property theft. So, and you're not supposed to do that. So I know a little bit about Aaron Brooks Butler. I've heard nothing but negative stuff about him. So I'll go into that next. So you have TTP. So, well, Aaron tried a different approach, one-time fee and tons of webinars that were garbage. He spent more time talking about his women and partying than he did really explaining anything. I had so many videos from that group of him just being completely unprofessional and not teaching much of anything. It's really pathetic. He changed the name of the group like a half a dozen times. I think I paid this group like $300 to learn pretty much nothing. I stayed in this group for like a year, so I guess I'm not afraid it's a commitment as I thought. Well, in the year I was with him, I learned nothing except how trivial Facebook drama can be. I eventually left this group by this time Forever in Profit, Ward 3 Associates, and so many other groups have started. Thankfully, I learned my lesson with TTP, and that was to avoid groups on Facebook. I had started doing my own research around this time and was starting to learn some stuff on my own. I tried Nadex, I dabbled in futures, tried binary options again, and then finally settled on Forex. I gave one more group a chance, Angel Lopez with the ARC. It was different, and Angel had an easy enough style and strategy. Now, from what I remember, TTP was getting into Nadex as well. What I like to say when it comes with Nadex is, a lot of people ask me about this. Nadex is a great company, don't get me wrong, but understand its limitations. You have... it's more for another video, and I'll do it for another video, but Nadex has a lot of limitations that Forex does not have. So let's just put it that way. So if you're wanting to get good money into trading, if you have a very small amount, Nadex is a good platform to go to if you're looking for the binary options type style of stuff, but being able to risk management your trades where other binary options don't allow you to do. So, and I'll make another video talking about Nadex, but as far as I remember, Aaron Brooks Butler, he may still be doing the trading thing, but I'm not too sure. But I've heard nothing but negative stuff about him. So, and because no one's even asked me about him, and I've done my research on him before in the past, there's probably really no point. And especially with the guys at the come up system, I don't think any of these guys are really doing trading anymore, because they learned their lesson that, you mess with people too much or too often, and people start to realize that you're full of crap. And one thing that this person says is one lesson that they learned was to avoid Facebook groups. Now, I stress this quite often as well, because Facebook groups are nothing but drama-filled crap fests anyways, in my opinion. Every single Facebook group that anybody has ever put me in to see what is going on in these groups or whatever, they're always horrible, because what you usually have is 1 to 2, maybe even 3 people running the group. And this is the person that usually has started the company. They bring on all of these people. They end up finding these, top dogs within their group. This is exactly what Vector Kings did. It's like they all have this workbook that they all kind of follow, like these guidelines, because they all do the exact same thing. What ends up happening is that the CEO of the company ends up leaving sort of the group. Like, they're in there, but they're not helping with anything anymore. They hire people that used to be students to be top traders. I'm using like quote bunnies here, the top traders. And then they start answering everybody's questions. Well, they're still new. So you see this horrible pattern here where these top traders are now having to teach people. Well, they're not capable of teaching because they're also new. Well, they've been making money off of my system, so they know how to use it. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. It's like your third grade teacher saying, "Hey, you're great at multiplication. Hey, do you want to start teaching a class?" You don't do that. I mean, yeah, you may tutor someone, but you're not the one constantly answering the questions. Like if someone has their hand raised, they say, "Oh yeah, hey so and so, you answer that person's question." That's not how this life works. And the CEO usually kind of steps aside and allows other people to answer the questions for them because they're becoming lazy and they're just being the collector at that point. So that's usually what happens there. I always tell people just stay away from Facebook groups. They are definitely not worth it. So now we're going into this company called The Ark. Now I've not heard about this company. It's been like a couple times I've heard it, but I don't know. It's I never really heard too much about it. Not like these other three that I've already mentioned here. So it says The Ark. This group was a little different, but pretty much the same. Create a strategy, sell it, and then disappear after promising that I'm here for the long haul and not going anywhere. Yeah, that lasted all about 6 months. Maybe I'm not the one with commitment issues after all. At any rate, Angel did create a website, dropped his videos, and then disappeared to Thailand for a couple months. But no additional training, no additional support, no nothing. Everyone pretty much moved on. Now Angel is having success, so I think he knows what he's doing. But after paying $300 for training the lifetime of support, he has moved on and developed a completely different trading strategy and style. I recently got a free session on his method, but it is really free after paying $300 for lifetime support. Oh, and in between TTP and The Ark, I was in BOA clinic. And they're talking about how these group names are just ridiculous. Being taught by a guy who was homeless at the time and couldn't trade live to save his life. He could trade demo out of his mind, then to go live, he bombed every time. From that, there was one really successful student who still uses his methods. I don't know that name. I think she has probably developed her own style around his original one. From what I can tell, she now trades full time and is pretty successful with it. The good catch to that, she isn't training anymore. It isn't selling anything, and she is just trading. So what do all these groups mentioned have in common? All of them, every last one except BOA Clinic, were involved with Wake Up Now or MCA. Wake Up Now was a scam and went out of business around 2014. That's when Jarrell started the whole Facebook trading phenomenon. And MCA, I really don't think is a scam. They go talking about MCA, and then they talk about how they digress with MCA. I say all of that, give you my background to say this. Thank you. I have come to the realization of many things. 1. Real professional traders are not hawking their wares on Facebook and in Facebook groups. 2. Real professional traders who are selling a product or service have legit websites with real legit products and services and have usually been trading for more than 5 years. 3. Real professional traders are literally crapping their pants at the poop storm going on in the industry right now. Some are laughing and some are totally disgusted. That'd definitely be me. Number 4, trading really is a personal journey. Yeah, you pick up the occasional tip and that might help, but overall you figure out the path as you travel down the road. Now, going back when it talks about MCA, if I ever said that MCA was a scam, I apologize. What I meant to say was that the entire idea of MCA is a scam, where you don't have to purchase the product in order to sell it. You can just sign up and just sell it. So what ends up happening with these MCA guys is they tell you, oh, if you want to sell into my team, you have to purchase the product. So what ends up happening is you spend $40 and then they make $80. They make double what you pay. So you are just paying them a paycheck in order to be able to sell it. And you don't have to do that. If you believe that you can sell, car insurance and, roadside assistance or whatever, then by all means, you don't have to go under anybody, because then you'll be making less money and making somebody else more money, which is a pyramid scheme. So if you want to do the MCA thing, by all means, but don't go under anyone. It's kind of a mess. So here we have, I watched a video of Jarrell's a few weeks ago and I actually had to laugh because in it he was laminating the fact that his broker canceled one of his trades because of the news, so he missed a huge move in the market. Man, I would have made a crap ton on that trade. However, I did pick up a golden nugget that talks about quarters theory and all this sort of stuff that led me into researching both. I have since started from scratch. Then they're talking about all these different trading strategies that they've been using. And then it says, Then they talk about, obviously, don't get me started with IML, which is what I was in for three days. Remember, I have commitment issues. At any rate, here I was still standing and still pushing forward. I am committed to learning how to trade on my own, testing and testing various strategies and methods. I totally agree that a strategy is not for everyone, and you have to figure out your own style. I was learning the basics from a company called Power Fund, which was good, but for the $100 a month, I figured the only way to really learn is to just, sorry about that, is basically learn on their own, just going into live charts. I started a trade journal, and I use that to track my trades. But for the most part, I am done with the groups paying these idiots on Facebook and trying to follow their zany methods. I thank you for sharing and exposing these idiots. Someone has to do it. The sad part is that most of these people flashing are young, AA guys using the get-rich-quick method of marketing and appealing to the human side of material and infiltration, and instead of offering a skill that can last a lifetime. Angel generally wants to help people, but I am not as aggressive in trading as he is. I am not a huge risk taker in terms of looking to flip my account. I want to steady, consistent, long-term results. Call me old school, but slow and steady can take me much further than a quick race to the destination. That changes because we evolve, so why be in a rush? I am enjoying the process. So all that long alpha sugar story to say that you are right on so many points. I have literally been associated directly or indirectly with many of the individuals you covered in this videos. Thank goodness I never got involved with VKU, FIP or PIP, VKU being Vector Kings University, Forever in Profit, and I'm guessing that's PIP Society. I was disassociated from trading for about a year as a result of the mental trauma I took upon myself. So here I am at square one, rebuilding my roof, as you mentioned in one of your videos. I have the tools, a blueprint of what not to do, and instead I want to finish a product will look like. And then it talks about all of this other stuff here that I think is extremely, extremely important. So it says, it is reassuring that people will, like you, will exist in the Forex industry. So here is where I am in my journey. I've canceled my subscription fees without Power Fund. I have left all groups I was associated with in trading. I am reading and learning the quarters theory. I am planning to learn harmonics trading to see if I like it. I use what Angel calls orders of operations, support and resistance trends lines, Fibonacci retracements, Fibonacci extensions. I plan to remain demo for a while. I have located a broker, and I'm considering using what when I do go live, FX Choice, probably IB Brokers. I know this is a long email. And then they talk about how they would want to catch up some time and maybe talk about other topics. So with all of that being said, I know that was a very, very, very long email, but I appreciate emails like that because it's not constantly asking me for this and asking me for that. It's someone just sharing their journey, sharing what they went through. And it was a horrific journey, it sounds like, but they're getting onto the track and getting onto the path in order to become a successful trader. So I'm going to end this video with saying this. I always say this, is you need to do your due diligence when it comes to following these people. These related channels, it's so funny, and I'm sure that they are related because I look at these channels a lot because of the videos I've made. Leo Williams, AstroFX, Q Banks being the guy from Forever in Profit. Now he's with AstroFX. Jay Pelly, Darwin Lopez. I mean, these are people who haven't been in this lifestyle or trading world long enough to understand what it takes to be a trader. Now, you will find that, yes, there's going to be a lot of people showing you methods on how to flip your account really, really easily. Now, I want you to, if you are in belief of that, look at this video, Forex is Not This Easy, where I show you an account that, yes, they were able to flip their account twice in a few weeks, but the drawdown was almost in the 60%. If you don't know what drawdown is, look it up. You shouldn't have a drawdown anywhere near that number. So it shows you the level of risk that it takes. You shouldn't be going into an account with $1,000 with 1,000 leverage and trading these astronomical lot sizes in order to try to flip accounts. That's not your purpose in the trading world. Your purpose is to be here for the long haul. That's why any sort of time that I create in a portfolio for myself to be able to send off to investors, it's always 5 to 10 years long. It's never, oh, look what I can do in a year. It's always, look what I can do within 5 to 10 years. Look what I can do in a decade or half a decade. This is what an investor wants to see. They don't, if you show an investor that you can take $1 million and flip it into 10 million, but you're oh, well, I bet $1,000 to make $10, they're going to think you're nuts. And that's what a lot of these people are doing. But you guys need to understand that that light bulb needs to come on, that you don't need to have this level of risk. You need to maybe trade 1 to 2% risk on every single trade that you put on. Don't risk, massive amounts. I was watching some of Leo Williams' trades where he's trading live. He has, like $20,000 in an account, and then when he places one trade, his free margin is like 9,000. So he is risking this more than half of his account for this one trade, and it's insane. Because what happens if something like what happened with the Swiss in 2015? What happens if that happens? Your entire account will blow. So it's extremely important that you guys need to understand that this is a longevity type journey. It's not a journey where you're flipping accounts every single month, and every single month I'm flipping an account. I took 100 to 200, 200 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. You don't do that. That's not what you do. I mean, in fact, when you go to some of these brokers that are actually really, really high end and they're actually regulated, a lot of the times their minimum deposit is usually $5,000 to $10,000. And I know a lot of you guys think, well, that's just because they're a scam. They just want you to have more money in there because they can make more money off you. No, it's because they know that that's the type of money you need in order to be able to start in a good space into this industry. You don't put $100 into an account and expect to make millions of dollars in a couple months. It's just not what happens. And a lot of these guys make you think that. They think that you can put $1,000 in and you can take thousands of dollars out in a few weeks. It's not the realistic idea when it comes to the Forex industry. There's so much more than that. So you guys need to always understand that if you go into this industry, give yourself year plans. Don't give yourself daily plans or weekly plans. Give yourself yearly plans. What do I want to do as far as the year? Is this another thing is within my portfolios that I send off to investors? The one thing that is so hilarious that a lot of people still do to this day is they care more about what they're making every month than what they're caring about than they are caring about what they're making every year. I can tell you now that if I showed you a 5-month portfolio of what I can do, every year I'm in profit, but I lose about 2 to 3 months out of the year. That's because of my risk management. So even the professionals will lose 2 to 3 months out of the year. I'm on that average. I'm in that percentage of being able to only lose 2 to 3 months out of the year. But at the end of the year, I'm always on top and I have extremely low drawdown in order to sustain that and to be able to have good money management, risking 1 to make 3 or whatever you want to say. So the thing here is that you need to understand that this is about the longevity. If I could take 10 grand and turn it into 20 grand in like 9 months, and then 20 grand into 40 grand in another maybe 12 months, and then doing that. But another thing here is that you want to, if you're working another job, or if you're like, yeah, I make like $50,000 in my job and I have a good home and I'm married or whatever, what have you, you don't have any kids or whatever the case may be in your life. The big thing is that it's always important, at least for me, in my own opinion, is to deposit more money into that account, is to constantly be depositing it so you can gain a bigger, larger capital. Because I can tell you that a larger capital, as far as a low drawdown, it will be almost nearly impossible to lose that account. But another thing is that the big thing as well is that, yeah, you can flip a $1,000 account, but is it that easy to flip $1 million account? Of course not. It's not that easy, especially with even high leverage. It's not. So unless you want to have extremely high risk like AstroFX does, you have the chance of like busting that account in an instant, and you don't know if it's going to happen or not. So why even put that risk on yourself? So what I say here is that, yeah, you may have deposited 10 grand, but constantly kind of deposit maybe 500 here, 500 there, 200 here, 200 there, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, whatever. So the money that is growing in your account isn't just the profit. If you look into some of these MyFX book links that are 4 or 5 years old, you will see that they didn't just deposit one time. They deposited a ton. And that's just because they're trying to gain more equity and have a larger balance in order to trade more so they can make more money. So that's what it's all about, is the longevity. You're not in this to be in here for 6 months and leave. You're in this to be in here for years and years and years to come. There's statistics that I've read on here in, I think it was the update and Forex 101, where I talk about how many people would even be in the trading world after 10 years of trading. It's pretty mind-blowing how many of you guys will walk away from this industry because it's not what you thought it was. It's not about the get rich quick. It really isn't. It's about being in this for the long haul. Now I know I'm repeating myself, and I apologize for like things popping up and little things here. These videos are very raw. I don't do any edits or anything like that. But hopefully I can make the new video for you guys. It will definitely be probably about Nadex unless somebody else gives me some more information. But I hope that you guys have a great weekend and have a great week next week. And as always, stay safe.